I usually cover one story in every video. I like giving a lot of background information and setting the scene for big climaxes. But sometimes there isn't enough content in a story for a full-length video. So today, I want to share some interesting stories in NASCAR's history that are short, simple, and to the point. I really think you all will like this format. If you do, make sure you leave a like and comment down below to let me know, and I'll do more like this in the future. Make sure to subscribe for weekly NASCAR videos as well. Anyway, let's get right into it. This photo looks like something from an old film, but it's completely real. Dink Widenhouse wrecked out in the 1963 Southern 500 and would pass out climbing from his vehicle. Dink was involved in a 4-car pileup. Dink and Roy Bentley received some cuts and bruises, but there were no serious injuries. But as Dink was getting out of his vehicle, his leg got tangled with his seatbelt, so he looked down. And when he looked down, he noticed blood on his arm. At the sight of blood, he passed out while getting out of his car, resulting in this almost comedic picture. This would be his last race in his NASCAR career. Dink collected 11 top 10s in his previous 27 starts and a pole at North Wilkesboro in 1955. This next story is about Neil Bonnett. The end of his racing career was very wacky. After suffering a severe brain injury and other life-threatening issues in 1990 at Darlington, his full-time racing career was over. He was left with amnesia and retired from racing. So naturally, he made the switch to being a color commentator. However, like many drivers, especially those whose careers are cut short, he still desired to race. Once he was cleared to race in 1993, his great friend Richard Childress gave him a one-off deal to race at Talladega in the Die Hard 500. He had a spectacular crash. Just watch.
Pit road.
Wow, his car got upside down and then comes back on the wheels as we see Musgrave's car sliding.
He climbed from his car without injury. But amazingly, he went up to the booth and commentated rest of the race for CBS. Here is a clip from that moment.
Condition after this crash in the tri-oval area that brought Neil Bonnett back to the booth.
Maybe for a long time.
Maybe getting some sand out of your eyes still?
Yeah, trying to see what's still hurting is gaining on me now. They're getting sore.
Unfortunately, just a handful of months later, Neil would pass away in a crash at Daytona. I have a full-length video on that incredible story if you want to check it out. Speaking of full-length videos, this story may deserve one, because there's a lot here. But there exists an individual car that won both an Indy 500 and a NASCAR championship. Floyd Davis started the 1941 Indy 500, but just 72 laps into the event, he was relieved by Maury Rose. Rose started the race in another car, but had dropped out of the race. Reportedly, Floyd's car owner was really disappointed with his performance throughout the early part of the race and made the driver change. Rose would go on to chip away at the field and find himself out front at the checkered flag. Despite this bizarre circumstance, this would be the second time that the race had co-winners. But 11 years later, Buck Baker would pilot the vehicle in the short-lived NASCAR Speedway division. He'd go on to win the championship. So yes, that car won both an Indy 500, competed in a couple more, and won a NASCAR championship. Now, this next story is very recent, but in my eyes was majorly overlooked. This is about Fox's terrible failure in the 2022 Truck Series race at Knoxville. The races in general here stumped me, because I love the track and the racing was fun, but the races were also at the same time terribly chaotic and crash fests. But early in the second stage, Jessica Friesen appeared to be stuck on the inside dirt berm. After some repairs, she would continue on in the race. But it wasn't until later that videos from fans at the track would surface that revealed she actually flipped over in the wreck, completely missed by the broadcast team. Fox didn't even mention it. It honestly seemed like they tried to cover up the blunder. I mean, someone at Fox had to have seen this flip. Incredibly, this makes Jessica one of the few drivers that flipped and continued on in the race. She would only run about 15 laps after this before mechanical issues took her out of the race. Later on, Fox would miss another massive incident. After having a restart violation late, Brett Moffitt found himself in the middle of the field for a late race restart. If you watch the broadcast, Brett would go on to have a weird incident with Tanner Gray. Phil Parsons in the booth couldn't explain the extensive damage to the sides of Brett's truck, and there was a good reason for that. In reality, Fox missed this near flip where Brett got completely onto his side. If this wasn't enough, Fox missed this incident as well from Bryson Mitchell, who climbed the wall in turn 2. Now, there were other factors, in addition to all of these incidents, that really plagued the broadcast, like the fact it was Jamie Little's first time calling play-by-play. But let's be real, she was set up for failure. Now, this last story is about the late Junior Johnson. It's said that he once flipped twice in the same race. In 1958, he flipped at Lincoln Speedway on just the third lap of the race. Obviously, the car was destroyed. After a short while, he was called up as a relief driver for Jack Smith, who was getting sick. Only a few laps after taking the wheel, he flipped Smith's car too. So the only problem I have with this story is that I can't actually prove that it happened. There's hardly any mention of it outside of this influential moments in racing article where it's briefly mentioned in this Reddit post. Another place I frequently visit is the Flips List project. This project was made to track all of the flips in NASCAR history, which is now at a staggering total of 555. It claims to be the most accurate list in existence, and I believe it. Anyway, this list shows Junior Johnson flipped twice at New Oxford, which is where Lincoln Speedway is located. According to Racing Reference and other databases, Junior Johnson did in fact wreck out of the race. We also see that Jack Smith was in the race and his car retired as well. But I feel like this would have been a big deal at the time, and I can't find any mentions in newspaper archives. Maybe this is just one of those bizarre stories that have been passed down for generations and generations. And you know what they say, don't let facts get in the way of a good story. So I'm kind of torn. A couple of sources I have cited over the years have mentioned it, but I haven't seen definite proof. And I'm not talking about Reddit. I really believe it though. I've seen the writer of influential moments in racing in my comments before, so I'd love to find out more information on this story. But that's it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy. I know it was a new format, but I really enjoyed putting this together. If you'd like to see more, let me know down in the comments below. And if you haven't, make sure you subscribe so you never miss a video. Anyway, that's all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.